Welcome to Super Movie Brothers. Let's start the show.
This is a podcast on the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.
You're such a pig fucker, Philip! What did he say?
Terrence, why would you call me a pig fucker?
Well, let's see. First of all, you fuck pigs.
Oh, yeah.
Well, fuck my ass and call me a bitch.
Oh, you shit-faced cockmaster.
Wow. Shit-faced cockmaster. Listen, you donkey-raping shit-eater.
Donkey-raping shit-eater. Dopey baby shit-eater.
What?
There are times when you get suckered in by drugs and alcohol and sex with women, okay? But it's when you do these things too much that you've become an addict and must get back in touch. You can do it, it's all up to you, okay? With a little plan, you can change your life today. You don't have to spend your life addicted to smack, homeless on the streets giving handjobs for crack. Follow my plan and very soon you will say it's easy, okay?
Welcome to Super Movie Brothers, episode 160. I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Dave.
I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Jay.
And it is a movie cocktail tonight, so we are joined by Rob from Nowhere.
Yep, that's me.
He does
somewhere.
He doesn't have a show.
No,
It's not Australian.
He's like he's like the frozen head of Walt Disney. We just like thaw him out when it's time to do a movie cocktail. We give him 24 hours to watch the movie, and then we stick him in front of the microphone and tell him perform, monkey. And then
get a few drinks in me first.
That's true.
Exactly.
It's true. We're always there with the alcohol, and then of course we also have Cult Movie Marc.
Hello.
So this is our movie cocktail for Not Safe for Children animated films, and we put up 4 films for everyone to vote on Twitter. Those films were Akira. Jay put up Akira because it's the only cool thing he's ever seen ever.
I went for the win.
Yeah, and you whiffed.
Surprised.
Whiffed. Marc put up South Park, Bigger, Longer, and
Hell yeah.
Uncut. I put up The Simpsons movie, and Rob put up Sausage Party. Interestingly enough, we will talk about 2 of those films tonight. However, the one that did won and the one that we're going to be discussing all night is South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. So congratulations, Marc.
Congrats.
Thank you.
On your
My
win.
second
Nice
ever win.
First win of the season.
First one was Howard the Duck, and now this one.
Yeah, it wasn't even really close, though. I know Jay is like the saying that he was close, but you won by 39%. Jay had 28%.
Yeah.
So
I'm a little surprised. 'Cause,
And
I mean,
I
I love this movie, but it doesn't get talked about too much.
it doesn't.
Well, it is old, but also this is still going on TV, and also the movie was the all-time leading grossing R-rated animated movie.
It's still
for
out there.
a long time.
South Park's still going strong.
I
lot
think
of people love
me and Rob were sharing dual duties at the bottom with 14%
Oh,
each.
yeah.
It was
I
pretty
did terrible
embarrassing
on
for
that
us.
one.
Simpsons movie sucks. Sausage Party.
It's middling.
Yeah, it hasn't been around long enough for it to gain any type of cult following or
Yeah.
for anyone to really have. And some people did just find it terrible and annoying. I'm one of those people. But it does have something interesting about it, Sausage Party.
Very small following.
South Park
It's pretty intense.
was held the 2001 Guinness Book of World Records for most curse words in an animated film. And unfortunately, it was dethroned by Sausage Party.
There you go.
I believe
Even with all
Early
even
fun
with all the
trivia.
swear words that were in the South Park
Fucker?
movie and
You got it.
in the song and everything like that.
It all depends on what the major motion picture whatever association of not letting you say naughty words really thought of the words that were used in Sausage Party. They may not say fuck as much, but cunnilingus may count as
I think things are more lax now probably than when South Park came out.
Also, I believe that Sausage Party brought in more money at the box office
I'm sure,
than
yeah.
South Park did when you adjust for inflation and stuff stuff like that, but it won't be as well remembered because South Park, bigger, longer, and
South
uncut.
Park is like an institution.
It absolutely is, and it's amazing that it is something we still talk about today
because it's the songs too. That's the difference.
Musical
it's the
as well.
The Academy Award nominated song.
That is true. Can't take that away.
To be honest,
so Jay, technically, this category fell on your week.
It did.
So before we get into discussing our first impressions of the film and everything like that, and how we feel about it now, the duties fell on you to make a cocktail. So what is the name of your cocktail? What's in it? How do people are going to enjoy it? Let everybody know what you got for South Park.
Terrence and Phillips fart juice.
Can we have 4 tickets to Asses of Fire, please?
Say that again.
No.
I don't think I called that.
Terrence and Phillips fart juice.
Yeah, it's when you push a little bit out and then like a little bit of liquid comes out. So
that is disgusting.
So the color is inspired from the fart juice. I just kind of imagine that this is kind of what the coloring would be.
Like a
juice
clear
inspired, and I'm not going brown. I don't want to go too like I'm thinking
slightly green,
thinking juice.
Too obvious.
Yeah,
Slightly
a little hint of mint green kind of color,
slightly green.
liquidy. Anyway, so I had an idea of like what it looks like, what it was going to have ingredient wise, sweet, sour, like the characters kind of, and I went with tequila as the main cocktail. We haven't had too much tequila cocktails, I think, so I wanted to use a little tequila because it's a little crazy, it's a little wild, it's a little bold.
I think Rob's Electric Venus was
we've
the
had
one to utilize tequila.
Yeah, but it's not too often. So went with 2 ounces of tequila. I went with 2 ounces as well with sour pucker.
Tequila is my lady, my lady.
That's what he does.
Anytime I can fit, I can fit Bradley Whitford from Cabin in the Woods in there. You got to do it.
Oh, okay.
Right there for Rob and Mark said, but I heard this like 2 episodes ago, so I knew exactly what that was referencing. So I was also 2 ounces of the sour apple pucker, and then 3 ounces of Sprite.
Pucker, like your butthole. When the fart juice comes out, you immediately pucker up.
There you go. Uncle Pucker. That's what it should have been.
Uncle Fucker, that's you. U-N-C-L-E. Fuck you, Uncle Fucker.
All right.
We go back and call this the Uncle Pucker. Okay. It's a better name.
You chill it and you strain it over an ice ball. And then you garnish it with 4 little Sour Patch Kids. So, the 4 little characters in South Park. So, like, boom. I mean, I thought it was perfect. Kyle, Stan, Kenny, and Cartman. So, I think it's a cool looking drink.
Wait, hold on. The best part is Jay didn't remember their names. So
I just read it off the text.
I had to text it to him earlier because he couldn't remember their names. So
I wasn't sure how many Sour Patch Kids I needed. I was like 4 or 5. I couldn't remember.
4 or 5. Yeah, there were 4 kids.
He didn't know their names.
Obviously, you guys now know that I hate the show. Never watched it. I don't like the movie.
22 years. It's an institution on television. Like, my dad has never
the
seen...
Simpsons are yellow, right?
Yes.
My dad's never seen an episode of South Park, but he could probably name the 4 characters.
Remember they killed Kenny? They used to kill him all the time.
They used to kill him all the time, yeah. Mark, so Jay's delicious drink. What do you think of it, man?
It's good. It's the Sour Patch Kids are... I think they're adding a little something to it, I would say. Like...
Yeah, they do add a little bit of sourness.
Am I crazy? Yeah.
When you drop them in, yeah. I don't suggest that you chew them after they've sat in the chilled drink for a while.
It's mostly for looks.
Yeah, I'm going to do that, but...
Because they get really hard, and then you bite into them, and they get gummy, and they lock your teeth together. And if you have fillings, they will rip it right the fuck out.
If you have a crown, it's just going to pop it out.
When I put the Swedish fish in the... In the last win for you, when I did the Swedish fish inside of the duck pond one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just,
same thought. It just still got gummy and it
just doesn't work out.
It wasn't fun.
But I like it a lot. I like the taste of tequila. I like when you use 100% agave tequila, it's very sweet. It's got a little bit of sour to it and stuff like that. You mix it with the sour pucker. It's kind of like mixing it with lime juice and stuff like that, but a little bit more sour. Then you add in those, you add in the Sour Patch Kids, and when you let them sit in there, all that crystallized sour sugar dust gets in there, and it works. It works really well.
It was actually an interesting balance to try and figure it out because I wanted it to have a balance, and it's kind of tricky with the sour and the sweet, and you don't want it to be too sweet, too sour, and find that kind of happy medium along with the tequila because that's obviously very strong flavor.
It's not too sour. Like I don't make the butthole face with my mouth where it's too sour. You know, like when you just suck it right in and it just looks like you get a butthole. Yeah, puckering. But I do enjoy it quite a bit. Rob, what do you think of this one?
No, I agree. I loved it. When I first got my glass, I sniffed that. I sniffed it and
that juicy fart.
got all that juiciness of the fart in my mouth. But no, I could smell the tequila and it just instantly brought back too many bad memories. But when I did drink it, it didn't have that same, like you said, that sort of puckering, that sort of worry of tequila. I really enjoyed it. I did. I've drunk it already.
So it's safe to say that for Rob, tequila was his lady at some point.
It's the other way around. I was tequila's bitch.
All right, so you guys can make that at home. We'll put the recipe up on Twitter and on our Instas for everyone to check out. Now it's time to go around and talk about South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Jay, you've already kind of buried the lead. You hate this.
I hate the show. I hate everything about it. The movie.
Ow, why?
It's too. First of all, I'm not a big animated fan in general. I don't like animation stuff. I can't get into it.
That's like saying I don't know.
It's just me. It's just me. It's always been me. Especially with this kind of property, it is way too fast.
I hate fun.
My brain can't keep up with this kind of stuff.
So it's Jay. I hate fun. I hate to laugh. I only like it when small children are being raped in indie movies. That's all I like. That's all I like. I like the emotions.
It's a very specific genre that he's
genre. You know,
didn't make me think enough.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing about it that I like at all.
Really?
Like it's just not my cup of tea whatsoever.
Okay.
Are you offended by anything in it?
Yeah,
I'm not an offended person. I don't get offended at all.
I'm just saying, mostly the people who dislike it
and pointless to me. Like I just can't get into it at all.
I think it's so topical
but again, like I said, it's so fast and so ridiculously over the top where I get completely annoyed with it. That's the biggest word for me. Annoyed with this show. Like the whole thing is just annoying to me. I just want to turn it off. I can't stand it. Like
with South Park, there's always the other layers to it. Like
I understand
on the surface,
and I respect that on the creative level, and I get that.
Yeah,
I just still can't get through it. All the other stuff, all the other baggage, I just can't get through it.
From the second I hear the name, I already realize what Matt Stone and Trey Parker are doing. Bigger, Longer, Uncut. Like they're first, it's a dick joke.
The title is a dick joke.
That's what she said. Yeah.
The title is a dick joke, and they're immediately skirting the MPAA as quickly as possible with the title of the film.
The original title, I mean, we're going to get into behind the scenes stuff later, but the original title was South Park: All Hell Breaks Loose.
Right.
And the MPAA would not allow them to say that. So they ended up making it something that was even worse, which was a dick joke.
But because it doesn't have any naughty words in it, like HE double hockey stick.
That is why Trey Parker and Matt Stone are my personal heroes, honestly. They actually did that.
All right,
but ironically enough, I actually did really like Team America World Police.
I know, we talked about that.
Dave told me that. I couldn't believe it,
Go figure.
Yeah, that's a funny movie too.
Gary, you could still prove that you belong in this team.
He's a puppet person.
Suck my dick.
Yeah. He's more into puppets.
He's more of a puppet than an animation.
It was the gratuitous puppet sex scene that really got him. And he has a fetish for marionettes vomiting.
It's also just a little bit different and simpler story and characters. It's not as quick and
it's like a parody of like
crazy
action movies and
and it's I don't know, just visually it's easier for me to watch too.
Wow. All right, Mark. So. Because this is kind of Jay's, it's so weird. This thing, South Park's been around for 22 years, and this is Jay's first experience with it.
So this is the first time.
This is
Well, the movie, I mean, the show I gave up on forever ago. So never my thing.
Okay.
All right, Mark.
One of those things I always had to keep quiet in school. Like I couldn't confess that to like all the friends because everybody else watched the show.
Yeah,
and little
I could see people who are like, I'm indifferent to it, but for Jay to be like, I vehemently hate it. I just had to open up a beer because I gotta drink.
So my first inclination is like what Dave said. Like, okay, did it offend you in some way, or is it like?
Because that's the thing, people hate South Park. They're like, what's because it offends my sensibilities.
Yeah, I'm not that person at all. But I mean,
it's more like you just don't think it's funny. Pretty much is what it comes down to.
The whole like I said, the visual aspect, the speed of it all. I can't get into animated characters.
Jay, the most powerful computers in the world, but those powerful animation computers in the world have been producing this movie at the time. This is actually one of the most technologically advanced films ever made. in animation.
They wear their cheap animation quality on their sleeve. I mean,
absolutely.
It's
part of the charm. All right, Mark, let's just leave Jay behind to wallow in. We
All right,
can't
have a good episode, guys. I'm signing off. Yeah.
we can't harp on that all night. So,
all right, I'm done for now.
Mark, talk about South Park. Your first experiences with South Park. Not even just the movie. Your first experiences with South Park, and then how you feel about watching this movie now.
Well, I was not the biggest South Park fan when it first came out. I was more of like I love The Simpsons, like, because everyone would say, South Park when it came out was, this is better than The Simpsons. I'm like, all right, this show just came out. Like, there's no way it's better than this, the show that's been around. But I would start to watch it more and more with my friends, and I just gradually started to really realize there's like more to it than was on the surface, like we were just talking about. And then very quickly, this movie came out, and I actually didn't get a chance to see it in the theaters. A lot of my friends did because their parents brought them. My parents did not. So go figure. So I didn't see it for a while, but eventually I did. And, when I was still young, and it's a really good musical. I think it has a lot to say, and I think it's very, very funny, very, very interesting. And it's just amazing. I was talking to Dave about this earlier, but just how early on in the show's life this movie came about, because it was actually season 2 of the show. They were actually writing this movie, which is kind of crazy.
I was just going to ask you that. Like, how many seasons did they have finished before this movie?
Season 3 was coming out.
Right. Well, the first season came out was...
That is early.
When the show first came out, it was a huge success. Like, one of the biggest things ever. So, executives, I guess, saw that and like, all right, we got to jump on this real quick, So that's what happened. So they made the movie.
Right. I believe it was Viacom who owned Comedy Central. They had I guess, have a stake or also owned Paramount Pictures.
Yeah.
And they were worried that South Park was a flash in the pan. It's something that people went to work, talked about over water cooler and talk. And
it was going to die down.
Right. And they send clips, or they would send, early versions of memes through their office emails and stuff like that. And it was things that people were falling in love with and talking about and cracking up about. And but they were worried it was a flash in the pan type thing.
I mean, it put Comedy Central on the map, basically.
It really did. So strike while the iron's hot, get a movie out there now, because in another year or two, this thing's going to fizzle out and it's going to be done. And now we're here 22 years later talking about it. And the, season 23 is coming out in a few months. So.
Yeah. But to me, for me, the thing about South Park that is really just like, I guess, admirable is that the voices behind it, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, are just really, they're very, they're true originals. They're kind of like, they're almost legends in Hollywood, because they're sort of renegades, the rebels. Like,
they're also legendary for how many bridges they've burned. And they famously have no more famous friends.
Exactly. This movie is basically a giant middle finger to the MPAA.
To everything.
To Hollywood. And so I've always enjoyed that outsider aspect of them. And I think, once I started to, after I saw this movie, I went and saw Orgasmo, and I saw Cannibal the Musical, and of course, Basketball, which they didn't write, but still, so they were making all these different movies and different things, and I realized that just as creators, they're very intelligent, very smart satirists, basically, and their humor, it can be very crass, but that's very intentional.
I think it's also, they were awarded for their hard work when they got, forget the Emmys that they've got just for South Park alone. 6 Tonys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
They got 6
so now they're
Tonys
making Broadway musicals, and that, that are, critically acclaimed. So they've shown that they're very versatile. And so I really think South Park was not a splash in the pan, as it very well could have been. But I think because they, as creators, kept control of it, and they never handed the show over to people and said, all right, just go write an episode. Like, they were always in control of it. And so to this day, I still watch the show. I think out of all of us here, I think I'm the only one that still does, but I think it's still just as good as it was, maybe even better, because they just kind of have evolved since then. So I have watched the movie again recently, and I still enjoy it. I think it's a great time.
Yeah, for me, it's exactly the same thing. My experience with South Park started in 1996. I was in the 6th grade, and I didn't watch it on its premiere night or its opening night. I watched it, I believe, by episode 3. me and my mom had gone back because we found out that at 9 o'clock or at 9:30 they would show the last week's episode, and we started watching.
Was that Volcano?
We started watching them.
Okay.
And I would go into my mom's room, I remember, and I would sit on her bed with my mom, and we would watch South Park together when I was in the 6th grade.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those things, like when it starts, my mom's just like, don't tell your friends or anyone at school, because I went to a Catholic school, that like I let you watch
That's
this.
really cool that she did that.
But yeah, I was never the type of kid where like I was censored growing up, I was never censored in what I could watch and stuff like that. Like my dad would be like, this is trashy. Whatever you're watching is trashy. Shut it off. But it wouldn't be like, if I got caught watching it, I wouldn't be afraid that I was caught watching something,
Yeah.
So that was my first experience with South Park. And then I kind of like, I remember like the first 3 seasons we followed it pretty religiously, and then I kind of like left it behind.
Yeah.
Once the movie came out, I think I was in like 8th grade, 9th grade,
Well,
stuff
kind
like
of
that.
peaked in a way.
Yeah, it really did. And then I kind of like let it go. I didn't really catch up on it so much until about a year or two ago. South Park Studios, and this is something else about Matt Stone and Trey Parker, which is great. Before I had Hulu, they had SouthParkStudios.com. You can go on SouthParkStudios.com.
Every single episode.
Every episode from the day it airs until eternity is up there for free.
But not anymore, I guess, because of Hulu, right?
Because of Hulu,
Yeah.
right. They got rid of it after Hulu, I believe.
Which was a shame, 'cause
in
that
violation of the Hulu contract,
Right.
probably. But it was all available there.
But
So about 2 years ago,
Really cool they did that, yeah.
I just binged the entire series. I think up to season 21. I finished through season 21. I've yet to watch season 22, but it really, you really kind of go crazy watching it in that form where you just watch so
You watch
much
every
of it.
single
You
one?
watch so much
Wow,
of it.
that's a lot of South Park.
Yeah, in a row. Like I was really afraid that like it had ingrained me so much that I'd be walking down the street and people would be like, "Hey man, how's it going?" "Hey, fuck you, buddy."
Yeah, exactly.
Go fuck yourself. But yeah, but it's a show that I've loved and I've respected it for all the same reasons that Marc has. Like these are the reasons why like I love the show, because Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they are these fuck you type guys where it's like and it sounds crazy that these guys with big dick and fart jokes and just with the dirtiest words and foul mouth 4th graders are guys that have such integrity. Right. Like
they've always fought they've been very anti-censorship.
What's crazy is like while making this movie, like they were tested, they were asked to do things, which we'll get into towards the end, by the studio and stuff like that. And these are guys who have a hit TV show and nothing else. Like that's all they are. They're guys with a hit TV show that's only been on for 2 seasons, and it very easily could just all go away by them saying no to the studio heads. And they didn't just say no to the MPAA, to the movie studio, to the producers, to anybody above them. They just said fuck you to them, and they never.
But they knew they had something. Though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
But it's amazing they even got to that point where they had that kind of power.
Well,
They
yeah.
didn't. They didn't have that.
They
power.
just they could have easily
But
folded
even able
over,
to put the TV show out on air in general.
We'll get
just to
into-
to that
well, there's-
point.
yeah.
We'll
that's
also
a
get
whole
into
nother-
how many times this film had to be submitted to the MPAA before it got its R rating.
Right.
So, Rob, South Park, you're
I didn't see it in the theater.
Okay.
I did.
I did. I actually snuck into it by legendary. I bought tickets to Wild Wild West and snuck in to see. Which
It's very meta because they sneak into the movie in the movie, right?
right.
Yeah.
But that's also the rumor that Wild Wild West's
Didn't have a
box
homeless guy
office
buy
Success
tickets for you or
was
anything?
from that.
box
yeah.
office
that's right,
success
yeah,
was
yeah,
from
yeah.
kids buying tickets to
the
South
host.
Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, or buying tickets to Wild Wild West and going and seeing Bigger, Longer,
That
and
makes
Uncut.
sense. Yeah.
And
know that.
I was one of those
Yeah.
kids.
That was
I
PG-13.
100% did that. My friends Matt and Andrew, we just went in there and we were like,
I used to do that. I mean, not with this movie, but like just a handful of times,
you
maybe.
can't do it anymore with assigned seating at movie theaters.
Yeah, you
but,
can't.
Yeah, it's smart. It's smart that he did that.
So, all right, but Rob, you didn't
But
see
no,
it in the theater.
I watched I think the first season, and I'm not a huge big fan, but I absolutely have nothing against the show either. I've never been offended by it.
I thought all people in Australia were crass and rude and would
Oh,
like.
we are. We grow up drinking, so
Yeah.
you get it straight away. Yeah. I mean, we can start drinking at 18. We got 3 years in you guys, So no, but I do remember about the time that you said when it came out, I was just finishing high school myself, not even starting. I was, because I'm the older one here, but I do remember being with friends watching it and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, have you watched this episode?" And I've been like, "I'm a bit behind," and I just never caught up, and I never watched it. I will binge, maybe watch it a couple of times down the line sometime, maybe because of this, but I've never sort of just sat down to say, "Oh, it's my weekly show," but I do enjoy it when it is on, and it's one of those ones you can just sit and you can just watch when it is on, and you're like, did they really just say that?
Right.
Yeah.
How are they getting away with what they just did, you know? And that's the way I sort of felt when I did watch this movie.
A lot of the crude style in animation is also how they get by doing a lot of the stuff they do because it's not realistic.
Doesn't look
you know?
realistic at
You could
all.
never do any of this with a live action show or anything like that and get away with it. You know,
They had a giant douche in one episode.
they did, and then
a
Sausage
church
Party
sandwich.
did the same thing.
Yeah.
Huh, wait a second.
Yeah, the bad guy in Sausage Party
it was a douche.
Oh, really?
Yeah, played by Nick Kroll.
Oh, I never. Okay.
But so just last thing, while doing my research for this movie, I watched obviously South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Didn't miss a beat. I'm still pitch perfect with all the sound. With all the songs. But on top of that, like, I also watched the proposed sequel, which actually wound up being the season 11 finales, episodes 10, 11,
Wow,
and
was that
13.
long ago? Okay.
Yeah, it was the proposed sequel to it. So we'll get into that towards the end and everything. And then I also watched a bunch of like key episodes that are like just worth watching. I also watched the
You watch Scott Tenorman Must Die?
Scott Tenorman was one of my
That is
episodes.
one of the best.
Made you eat your parents.
That's when you realize
This is why
how
he's our
evil
leader. He does all this research.
he sacrifices himself.
Mark has all the knowledge I have, but didn't do any of this research. He
No,
had-
I just know it because
he had it prior to coming
Watched-
in here. And then on top of that, I watched 6 Days to Air, which
Great documentary.
Talking, what me and Mark were talking about. If you ever want to see the process of what it's like to make a TV show, and then
this particular TV show, it's very
extrapolate
different.
multiple amounts of stress on top of it, because like the people who are working with them are writers on other shows or have written on other shows or animators who have worked on other shows, and they say there's no one who does this.
Yeah.
There's no one.
It's unheard of.
There's no one who comes into work on Thursday after an episode has aired and fucks around as much as they do, and they do nothing. Like they do nothing.
Eventually, they write a script,
and then they buckle down, they start writing, and as they're writing, they're handing things off to the animators, and the animators are animating it and storyboarding it and stuff like that while they're still writing it.
So because it's so cheaply made, it actually adds to the humor, and they get to throw things in last minute and stuff like that.
They have some of the most powerful animation programs running to do this animation, but because it's so simple, they're able to do it so quickly. All the while they're doing that, they are passing their scripts off to their. I forget what her title is, but she's basically their liaison between them and the MPAA.
Legal advisor.
She's not even that. So she also is someone who does not like the crassness of the show and wishes that they would tone it down at times. You could see her in the writing room just being like, can we tone this down just a little bit? And if she's not happy, they know that they're on the right track with whatever they're doing. So this woman then has to go to the MPAA, get on the phone with them, or whatever
the equivalent
is for television. And she has to read the script with them, read the description of what's supposed to be going on screen. Yeah. Meanwhile, so she's sitting there and she's like, well, no, he pulls the bloody tampon out of his ass and then throws it at the child. It's just words like this that she's saying to these
her job.
to these people, and they're like, okay, but are they going to show the tampon coming out of his ass? Like that's
the conversations they have. Is just,
and she's in the episode, she's describing how Kyle is basically human centipede between a Japanese man and a woman, and he signed the iTunes agreement, and she has to go through describing the Japanese man shitting into Kyle's mouth. And the motions that he's going to do and Kyle's reaction to it. And she's having to describe this to people
straight faced,
and she has to do it straight faced.
And they actually got through.
Yeah, and
it's in the episode.
And it's in the episode. So it's like,
I'm intrigued to watch that.
So 6 Days to Air is just this thing that like it just shows you the process that these two have, where I don't think as smart as they are and as great as they are at what they do, there's not a lot of thought that goes into it. It's a master stroke now that they've gotten to.
But once I think they work feverishly for those 6 days.
For 6
so
days.
It's like they don't
Saturday
leave the
Night
office.
Live almost.
Yeah, it's kind of like that idea where it's
right.
Yeah,
it's one big clusterfuck all that week up leading up to the
And then remember
show.
that these two guys, while making the series, have had a Tony Award-winning musical, Book of Mormon. They've also made 3 movies: South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut, Team America, World Police, and Basketball came out during the run of South Park. But they didn't make it. They were just in it, but they still filmed it. And then on top of that, 2 video games that they had full creative control over with Ubisoft.
Very good games, actually.
The Stick of Truth and The Fractured Butthole. Another pun where they were trying to skirt the censors.
Another in-your-face title. Yeah.
So, like, that's these guys that you're dealing with when you get into it. And I think, like, honestly, Jay, if you watched 6 Days to Air before you watched the movie or before you watched anything South Park, you'd have a whole lot more respect for, like, every dirty joke that gets made. You'd be like, wow,
a lot of work goes into
that had to go through 3 or 4 different
I
people.
respect the show. I said that earlier. I did. I do.
Also, it's cool
I just don't like it.
It's cool that that Trey Parker and Matt Stone are just like college buddies that, they made like this movie in college, Cannibal the Musical, and they've just been, together since then and just making things. And I think that's really cool.
They must have been fun to party with.
They have, but they have a great dynamic. You have Trey Parker, who is pretty much the main writer, or he's at least a big idea man for everything. For this,
Matt Stone's more the business guy.
Yeah. And Cannibal the Musical, he wrote all the songs for. He wrote all the songs for Book of Mormon.
For all these,
he's the director. He's the head writer. If you looked at everything
they both do all the voices too.
Right, they both do all the voices. But if you looked at everything he does, you'd be like, what does Matt Stone do? Right? If Trey Parker does all this, what does Matt Stone do?
But he needs to be there.
Matt Stone's the guy that says, fuck you, we don't compromise. Yeah. Like that he's the business
I think they
guy.
both are, but I think maybe he keeps Trey a little more to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when things were going on, when this movie was being made and they're being told to change things, it was Matt Stone who was like, fuck you.
Everybody needs a soundboard.
Yeah.
And especially someone who can be, I mean, he is a strong, important factor involved with that. I mean, you can't be just, have Trey by himself.
No.
Talking to some random person about stuff. I mean, it wouldn't work.
Like,
I mean, he needs his boy, Matt Stone, to be there with him.
One of the things like I was reading was it was something that was going on in one of the video games, and like Trey Parker was about to like just give up and give in to the ratings board for video games, just say fine, whatever. And Matt Stone was like, no. Fuck no. And he gets on and he like writes this long ass email out and he sends it off and he's just, he's like, I just fuck it. I just tell him fuck it. Like, we'll fucking burn the whole thing to the fucking ground if they say no. Like, and that's the type of guy he is. And he, like, when their balls are put to the fire, they put the other people's balls to the fire and they're like, all right, well.
They stick to their guns.
Because they know that this makes money. And that's really what it all comes down to.
That's what it comes down to.
Right?
Yeah.
And believe me, if
or
for,
ratings or whatever, which means money.
I think they have more respect for the audience. Like it's like
we don't compromise.
The ratings board is looking at it from one angle, but they're looking at it from like, okay, but this is funny. Sure. Like this is an original idea. Like, why can't we just do it?
I wouldn't be surprised if for any reason there was ever a crackdown on censorship and stuff like that on television that they said, fuck it, we're not doing it anymore.
They probably would just quit at that point.
We're not. That's
the reason they're still doing the show mostly is because that Comedy Central has just given them almost complete freedom at this point. I mean, they still have to answer to some people, but it's like, they made that network. So
just make
the fact that they're still there, it's like, all right, how many episodes do you want to do this season? Oh, okay, whatever.
Just like, 6? Fine, okay.
Sure, 6. Okay. They pretty much have the run in it. That's because they did run their business that way, and I think they ran it really smartly.
So
sure, yeah.
Let's get into talking about this actual movie.
Yeah, let's talk about the movie.
We spent a whole long time here. We're gonna do this a little differently. Normally, we go through movie, talk about like our favorite bits and shit like that. I think it's gonna be a lot more,
singing.
Yeah, a lot more singing.
We're gonna sing for sure. I mean, me and Marc are going to sing, but
I'm gonna try to hold back.
It's gonna go a lot better, I think, if we talk about the movie and then Marc steps in and peppers in the stuff that he knows and stuff, and we'll get all of our facts and behind the scenes stuff as we talk about the film, rather than saving it all for the end. Because
I like that.
I think with this, it really requires that level of
good call
of jumping in on, and then at the end we'll save the end for just a little bit of wrap up on South Park, and then we'll get into our next category. So let's get into South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
To the was and now this is your tale. You ain't going back to see Disneyland hell. Little boy, it's time for you to pay. Hurting that bird and not going to church and staring at books every day. Thought you were unfair, instead you're in hell. Hell isn't good, hell isn't good, hell. Oh, hell isn't good, hell isn't good, hell.
Hey, fuckface, have you seen Gracie?
There is orderliness in the universe.
Hell isn't good, hell isn't good, hell.
The sun is shining and the grass is green under the 3 feet of snow. I mean, this is a day when it's hard to wear a frown. All the happy people stop to say hello. Get out of my way, even though the temperature's low. So
Very good.
And we're gonna stop right there.
Yeah,
For now.
we're gonna stop. Yeah, that is how the movie starts. It opens up with the
Classic Disney opening musical scene.
Cool thing they do. Very Indiana Jones, and this was an homage to Indiana Jones. And everything Steven Spielberg did was every time they show the Paramount logo, it turns into the mountain. So if you remember in Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, it turns into the mountain that's in South America. And so every time they did it, it would turn into the scenery, and that's what they did here too. It's a little fun nod to something that they respect, and you're going to see a lot of those like little nods like throughout this thing where like you can.
Well, the opening musical is a nod to I think it's Beauty and the Beast.
It's Beauty
and
and the
Beast. She has
Beast.
an opening song where she dances through the town and
Right, yeah.
sings about everyone and
Yeah. My favorite joke is that when Belle is just like there goes the bread maker with the bread he wants to sell, same as like every day, and he's like, "Fuck you, bitch! This is my job. Like, this is my fucking job." But, yeah, and it kind of introduces you to all the characters as he's going through. He picks up each one, and each one has their own verse in the song and stuff like that, and lets you know what this movie's going to be
so
about.
even if you had never seen the show before, it's interesting. Like you would actually be fine probably. Watching just this movie,
just jumping into it, because you can already tell that
they kind of introduce everyone.
Cartman's an asshole. Like
Right.
the first time
you get that right off the bat.
You meet Cartman's like, "I'm the guy." And he's a fat kid who's eating cheesy poos, refuses to answer his door. Coming, hun. And so the whole point of the first act of the film is seeing Terrence and Phillip the movie, which they accomplish very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, Mr. Bum, if you want the $5 to go buy your booze, then you're going to get us the tickets to the Terrence and Phillip movie.
Yeah. Because they actually don't really curse or anything like that, but until they see the movie.
Until
right?
they see the movie, right.
So it's almost like their origin story, I guess.
So they go see the Terrence and Phillip movie, and they
almost like a pun joke on themselves.
100%.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what the whole thing is.
100%.
Like they are
Jay, the entire
guys.
movie's about censorship.
Dave literally snuck into this movie.
Yeah, and I did sneak into this movie because I was 12 when this movie came out, so 12 or 13. So one of my favorite lines of that song is "Off to the movies we shall go, where we learn everything that we know." Because like that's kids.
Yeah.
You know, our parents didn't talk
The
to us
movies
when we were
teach us
kids.
what our parents don't have time to say.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So it's literally a movie that is about that, and that's the perfect place for it to start.
But it's also poking fun at like, parents should be parents and actually like pay attention to what their kids are doing. And I think by the end of the movie, I'm sure we're going to get there, but that's kind of what the message is a little bit. It's like maybe you shouldn't let these movies raise your kids. Maybe you shouldn't let TV shows raise your kids. I think that's kind of what
There's a
saying.
lesson there.
There's a little bit of a lesson.
There's a little bit of a lesson. It's just hidden under a lot of fucking
a lot of poop jokes,
Just so
fart
much
jokes.
And Terrence and Phillip the movie, obviously,
Is all fart
just
jokes.
All fart jokes, right?
Exactly what it is.
Some of the insults that are in the Terrence and Phillip movie, I still use to this day. There are times where I will get mad enough and I'll hang up the phone and stuff. Like it's usually when I'm talking to someone who, like usually a bill collector, and I go, "God, you fucking donkey raping shit eater, donkey
Suck my balls."
right? Ass ramming cockmaster."
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. And these are all the things that the kids are learning and they pick up.
They start repeating it. Yeah.
They start repeating it in school.
Yeah.
But the best is after they go see the movie, before they've even gone to school, they go to Stark's Pond where all the kids are skating, and we get to meet Gregory, the little fucktard from the little politically charged new character who Wendy's in love with. They go there, and my favorite thing is like Cartman's just like, yes, I saw the Terrence and Phillip movie. Who wants to touch me?
I said it was to fucking touch me!
Yeah. Exactly.
And then Butters touches him.
Yeah.
Matt Stone and Trey Parker said that one of their biggest regrets was not making Butters a major character sooner in the series, so that they could make him a larger part of this movie because they love Butters. He's there, but
he's there,
But he's just not a flushed out character. He's just one of the kids in the background. You know, it's not until later seasons that they start flushing out kids like Token and Tweak and
Timmy and all them. Yeah, like we said, this was so early on in the life of the show that it's like they didn't even have that as many characters. You know, I mean, they weren't working.
And they didn't have all the famous ones either.
Yeah, and like a lot of characters that would go on to become like infamous characters, like they didn't even they hadn't even appeared yet. So
yeah.
But I like that it's kind of centered on just the 4 kids mostly because that's pretty.
Yeah,
much
well, I mean,
Big Gay Al's in there, and you got have some of the other
characters
in there. But
thanks for asking.
And I like that Terrence and Phillip are featured in it because I think that's always been their big joke with them with those characters. Like, all right, you want just fart jokes? That's what you think South Park is? All right, this is just fart jokes.
This is just fart jokes. This is exactly what that would be.
This would actually be. So
we did once get a full episode of Terrence and Phillip when we were supposed to get the reveal of who Cartman's father was. And they went on a mid-season break. They came back like months later, and instead of telling you who Cartman's father was, you find out that you're just going to get a whole episode of Terrence and Phillip.
And people were pissed.
People were pissed. I love it. I actually went back and watched that episode not too long ago.
Great.
It's a great episode. So anyway, the kids go into school, and of course they start cursing in class. What's the big fucking deal, man? It's not hitting anybody. Look, fuck.
Yeah. So that doesn't go over well. And they get sent to the counselor, Mr. Mackey.
How would you like to suck my balls? I'm sorry, what did you say? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Garrison. What I meant to say was,
How would you like to suck my balls, Mr. Garrison?
that was too good. Just pulls out the
no effects on that. That was all Dave.
That was.
So he goes. They do go to the principal's office, and this is the first time, it's the kids have now seen Terrence and Phillip multiple times. The entire school has seen Terrence and Phillip multiple times, and this is the first time the parents are finding out.
They finally found out,
that they are seeing Terrence and Phillip, which is probably days or weeks after they've seen it, and it's already warped their fragile little minds.
That movie has warped my fragile little mind. Yep.
So they have to go into rehab, which is led by Mr. Mackey, which is where we get, I don't know if it's my favorite song, but it's
a good one.
One of my favorite songs in the movie. We skipped over Uncle Fucker, but Uncle Fucker,
that speaks for itself.
Yeah, it speaks for itself. You know, Uncle Fucker, that's
Uncle Fucker.
UNCLE. Fuck you, Uncle Fucker.
Suck my balls.
But yeah,
So then Mr. Mackey,
it's the timing of it all.
He comes up with this great idea to teach the children through song, and he tells them that they don't have to curse. They can substitute their naughty words for other words. So step 1, instead of ass, say buns, like kiss my buns or your buns hole. Step 2, instead of shit, say poo, as in bull poo, poo head, and this poo is cold. Step 3, with bitch, drop the C, cause bit is Latin for generosity. Step 4, don't say fuck anymore, cause fuck is the worst word that you can say. So just use the word okay. You can do it. It's all up to you. Okay.
I'm gonna stop you there, Dave. All right.
Woo. You don't have to. You don't have to spend your lives addicted to smack. Okay. Homeless on the streets giving handjobs for crack. Anyway,
very catchy, very catchy song.
It's one of the most catchy songs in the movie.
And that's to be said about the whole film. Like the songs are so catchy.
Yeah, but you're saying the most vile stuff.
But you are. They're like you can hum along with them. But then when you're saying the words, you're like,
but that's
okay. Handjobs for crack and Uncle Fucker. I'm like,
that's one of the brilliance of like Trey Parker being such a big Broadway fan and stuff like that when he writes all these songs, is that he makes it.
He actually writes good songs.
Right. If these weren't the words that were being used, if
the melody could be used for something else.
The melody could be used for something else. Like, you could probably have a Tony Award-winning... Oh, he does have a Tony Award-winning musical. Yeah. So, yeah, he is that good. That's why they're so catchy. It's why they're so memorable.
He's a very talented songwriter.
I had this album. Like, I literally had this album. And it also had a B-side to it, which was all the celebrities doing it.
So this was going on in your car all the time?
No, not in my car. I was 12.
This was in headphones.
So the parents
couldn't hear it.
Yeah. But, you had the South Park TV series, album, which had like "Bullet in Your Bubba Goose" with
the chef album,
right, which was but that
Chocolate Salty Balls.
Wyclef Jean did that song. Catch a bullet in your Bubba Goose. Busta Rhymes did a song.
I remember that.
that was a good album.
Yeah,
I remember it back in the day. It was good stuff. Prodigy was on there. Rancid.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, their reward for making it through rehab is they get to go and they see the Terrence and Phillip movie yet again. And on their way out, they talk about how Terrence lighting his farts on fire is fucking bullshit. There's no way that Terrence would ever be able to light his fucking farts on fire. And Cartman dares Kenny $10 that he doesn't have to, that he can't do it. Kenny does it, catches on fire, and he dies. Cartman's reaction is the best. Ah, shit! Ah, shit! He's on fire!
Starts beating him with the stick.
And then he's like, ah, shit! Stick's on fire! And then, of course, the ambulance comes to pick up Kenny, runs him over, backs him over. They throw him in. And you get the cameo of George Clooney here.
Yep.
As the as the doctor
who was on in the show as well as the voice of the dog Sparky.
Sparky the dog, who goes to Big Gay Al's Big Gay Preserve.
Right. Yeah.
Big Gay Animal Reserve for gay animals. And he was such a big fan of the early seasons of the show that George Clooney was like, yeah, I'll do a voice for it. And Matt Stone and Trey Parker are the assholes they are. And they trolled him so much that they were like, no, you're just going to be a dog. So the entire recording session, he just had to go, bark, bark.
Yep.
Because he played Sparky the dog.
They made Jay Leno a cat, actually.
Yes.
Cartman's cat, yeah. So they used to do, they would do stuff like that just like to fuck with people.
But it's the show something about those people that they want to do it
they
too.
Would still want to do it, right?
Because
they would always be like, oh, The Simpsons had this celebrity on this week. It's like, we're just going to make George Clooney act like a dog. And like, that's just.
And it became like an honor almost after a while.
They kind of stopped doing
like
it.
Other celebrities were like, what animal are you going to give me? Or like, what kind of stupid character are you going to give me?
but
it was still cool just to be a part of the show.
But like Mark said, that was their way of thumbing their nose at The Simpsons, where it's like, guest star of the week is so and so. Well, fuck you. We don't even care who the guest star.
We're not going to like showcase whoever the celebrity is. Yeah.
Like, and then of course when they actually have a celebrity on, like a real celebrity, it's not this. That's
like, oh yeah, remember that dog that was painting? That's him.
Like Tom Cruise legit got pissed because his like the episode they make fun of him. It was about it's all called Tom Come Out of the Closet. Like,
and he was definitely not on
right.
Yeah.
I remember that controversy.
Yeah. Tom Cruise wanted to sue, and they've been so many people have tried to sue them and never get through because it's a parody.
They're bulletproof. Yeah,
it's a parody. You can't sue for
and they have a good lawyer apparently,
right? Because like so for it to be defamation, it means that it has to be slanderous and untrue. And the fact is, they either have to admit that it's slanderous and untrue, which is fine, but they also have to prove that it's not a parody, that it's not like, which is why like SNL can get away with making fun of people and stuff too, because it's a parody, it's not real, so it doesn't leave people to believe that it's real, despite the fact that it could have real ramifications on people and make them very upset. But that doesn't matter.
But still, it's free speech, and that's
it's free speech, right? And
but
hence what this entire movie is about,
right? Exactly. So yeah, going back to that, so we talked about the part with where we are now in the movie, where they come out of the movie. Cartman gets Kenny to light a fart on fire, and Kenny dies. Now, Kenny dying obviously was like a huge thing in the show at this point.
He died every episode.
Yeah, every episode he would die. They eventually dropped that, but at this point it was still a huge part of the show. So I like how they worked it into the movie, and I like that it actually became a big plot point. Yeah, because Kenny gets sent to hell, which is actually a really cool sequence that they did, and
it's also the only song not written by Trey Parker.
Right. Well, that was
it's performed by James Hetfield, and little boy, you're going to hell,
which is funny because Trey Parker will do that voice sometimes like in a humorous way. So I thought that was Trey Parker.
But he got James Hetfield to do it.
It's actually him.
It's actually the only song that's in the film that doesn't appear on the album. So
anyway, but yeah. So Kenny goes to hell.
And on his way down, he sees Hitler, who's giving one of his speeches, and then he comes across George Burns. Hey, fuckface, you seen Gracie?
And then Gandhi, right?
Gandhi's there.
And then Gandhi's there. And then he lands in hell. And one of my favorite jokes of this, and it is a fart joke, is that there's like this fiery hell demon flying through the air, and Kenny's like, "Holy shit, dude!" Like looking around, in his voice, like, and you just hear. As a demon is flying around,
fart,
just a fiery fart comes out of its ass, and it just goes up, and then the scene changes.
And that's it.
But this is where we get introduced to hell and Satan. And at the beginning of the movie, when they were doing the opening song, we do hear over the over the news that it's been 2 weeks since Saddam Hussein has been killed by a ravaging pack of wolves, and the world is not happier to be rid of him. And he ended up in hell, and now that he's in hell, he is making it with Satan. Him and Satan are an item. They are together. They are a couple, and it's just absolutely great.
Saddam Hussein's totally just using Satan, though. I mean, it's really messed up. Actually,
going back to the Kenny thing though, real quick, wasn't this like one of the first times where we really like hear Kenny speak more than in the
end
series?
Of the movie. He takes his hood off. Yeah. And it's actually Mike Judge's voice.
It is Mike Judge. So Kenny is now in hell, and he gets wrapped up in this storyline between Saddam using Satan to get him back to Earth, where Saddam can rule, and Satan is this very affectionate gay man who loves this man, but is also recognizing that he's being taken for a ride and stuff, and he confides in this small child and tells him everything.
It's actually sort of like a oddly heartwarming story. Like,
it's Satan's song is one of my favorite songs. Up there. There's so much room where babies burp and flowers bloom.
I think that's a Little Mermaid reference, actually.
Up there.
So they were referencing these
where the skies are ocean blue.
It's funny they were referencing these, huge Disney musical movies because obviously, like, I think Trey Parker has talked about this, but he's obviously influenced by those movies because they are well-written songs.
But if you are making like an R-rated, like naughty animated film, of course you're going to want to parody those things as well, because you're trying to attract the audience that would get that joke, that would want to laugh.
Also, there was a notion of, I think it was around this time this movie came out that any animated movie had to be a musical,
right?
Because if you look back to that time, it's like every single animated movie was a musical.
Yeah.
But I think Trey Parker, being a fan of musicals, I think he wanted this to be a musical, and I think he took that as like an opportunity to make something really, really worthwhile, and I think he did.
And then back up on the surface, now that Kenny is dead, the parents are now know that the kids have again seen the Terrence and Phillip movie, and they are now going to be going and being grounded, while Sheila Broflovsky, who is
Kyle's mom, is pissed.
Kyle's mom, she starts
isn't she a big fat bitch?
Yeah, she's a big fat bitch too.
Yeah.
She starts MAC, Mothers Against Canada, and she in perfect Sheila Broflovsky.
Well, we didn't mention that, but Terrence and Phillip are Canadian.
So Terrence and Phillip are Canadian.
Yeah, we should mention
also,
with their beady little eyes and the flabby heads. I resent that, ma'am. You're a racist. You're a racist, ma'am. Can I finish? Can I finish? Please, can I finish?
I'm finished.
It's
interesting because they never.
I love that part.
In the show and in the movie, they never specify if Terrence and Phillip are supposed to be cartoon characters or actual people.
No, I think in this
they're supposed to be actual people. But like,
which this is also where the notion of Ike being adopted comes from, and that he's Canadian
because he looks like a football.
Because he has beady little eyes and a flappy head. So she wages this war on Canada, somehow gets everybody in the country to go along with her, and we get the great song "Blame Canada," which is really like the tentpole song.
Oscar nominated.
It's a tentpole song of the movie. It's Oscar nominated, and at the Oscars, it was performed by none other than the legendary Robin Williams. And I believe, if I remember right, they had to cut it.
No, it's
I don't think so. I watched it on YouTube.
They had to censor some.
Well, he comes out with tape over his mouth, which is kind of like just a big
Blame Canada.
But
Blame Canada.
They censor some of the words in it, but it's there. You
for all their hockey hullabaloo and that bitch Anne Murray too. Blame Canada.
It's a good performance.
Yeah. They're not even a real country anyway.
And
then the whole marching band comes out.
Yes. My boy Kenny could have been a doctor or a lawyer, it's a true. Instead, he burned up like a piggy on a barbecue.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Should we blame the government? Should we blame the child? Or should we blame the doctors who allowed him to expire? Heck no, blame Canada.
And if you're going to nominate a song, I guess that one makes sense because it's not like the most, vulgar.
Right. But it's also
most outright vulgar.
It's also the big charge song.
Yeah, it's like
this is the beginning of the second act of the movie, Blame Canada. This is where like everything really starts. It's the middle of the movie. It's where everything starts taking off. Mm-hmm. And this is where Sheila Broflovsky gets pretty much the entire world against Canada for Terrence and Phillip, and they use Conan O'Brien to capture
Poor Conan.
to capture Terrence and Phillip. And when Matt Stone and Trey Parker were on the Late Late Show,
I actually saw that
with Conan O'Brien, this is the clip they brought.
I remember
to
that.
show
I
him.
definitely remember that,
when they're
yeah.
like, you bring a clip to promote your movie.
Yeah.
So they bring the clip of him turning Terrence and Phillip in, and then regretting it so much that he jumps out the window and kills himself. And they brought that to Conan O'Brien on the Conan O'Brien show.
I love it.
Yeah, actually,
I have a feeling exactly what Conan would have done. He would just sat there silently.
yeah,
just
that's pretty
pausing.
much what he did. Yep.
Yeah, so one of my favorite jokes is also here.
Conan's overrated.
One of my favorite jokes is also here, where Brooke Shields is a guest on there, and they bring Terrence and Phillip in, and they're talking about Terrence and Phillip fart humor and stuff like that. And Brooke Shields just like, it's dead quiet, and she goes, "I farted once on the set of Blue Lagoon," and it pauses for like 5 seconds, and then Phillip just slaps her.
Doesn't even say anything.
I just always love that. I don't know why.
A great part.
It cracks me up. But so now Sheila has everybody against Canada. The kids are now reeling for the fact that Kyle's mom is just a big fat fucking bitch. And of course we get a great Cartman song, which is actually a refrain song from like earlier in the series.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And
it's like a remix of it.
Yeah. Where do they get to? Oh, the kids around the world and make a bit of something like this.
International. That's great.
And of course we get
has that been worked out? Was that actual without not the Chinese one, of course, but like the ones in the different languages where they actually sing it?
Yes.
Were they?
They did actually. I think they did some consulting on language and it being correct for this.
I believe it.
But
their attention to detail, I would believe it as well.
It's also one of the few times we get to see South Park character fingers, because South Park characters all have mittens on, so they don't actually have fingers. But at the end of the song, Cartman jazz hands, and we see all 5 of his little digits there, jazz hands, and for everybody. She's a big fat fucking bitch. I really mean Kyle's mom, bitch.
Actually standing right behind him.
What? Ah, fuck. So the government takes Cartman in, and he gets a V-chip implanted inside of his head. A V-chip is what allows a child to anytime he goes to speak in obscenity, he gets shocked. And I love it. And it's like, say doggy, doggy. Say pillow, pillow. Say big floppy donkey dick.
And that was now V-chip was like a parody of it. Was it actually called a V-chip in a TV?
In a TV.
Yeah.
I
don't know I don't think that exists anymore, but at the time, that was a big thing.
It was the way they censored
parents could
television.
control what their kids watch. Yeah.
So again, they are sticking it right to censorship, and that's what this entire
they put it literally in his brain. Yeah.
And so now the Canadians are going to be going to war against the United States, and they're going to put Terrence and Phillip to death at a fabulous USO show.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think it's funny as well that the Canadians, the damage they do is they
bomb the Baldwins.
They bomb the Baldwins, yeah.
That's their act of war.
The US does carpet bombing, but sudden strikes on the Baldwins. That's it.
That's their declaration of war. There.
Don't mess with our. I know earlier iterations of the script had them bombing other people.
I'm sure.
And for some reason, Matt Stone and Trey Parker thought that it was prevalent for them to bomb the Baldwins. I don't know why, but I know that
makes sense.
I know that there was other prominent families that were supposed to be bombed.
Family, the different members and stuff like that. I mean, that's always
Hollywood institution. So,
definitely, yeah.
But anyway, so that now they're going to war, and the kids feel that since they are the ones that got in trouble and started Sheila Broflovsky on this whole mission against Terrence and Phillip, it falls on them to the duty to rescue Terrence and Phillip from the fabulous USO show.
That's when they form La Resistance.
Though you may die, La Resistance lives on.
And Stan actually gets to
Tell them you have punch and pack.
Stan, trying to win over Wendy and trying to act like he's political and stuff. He forms this group.
It's because she's political and stuff.
Exactly. And they form this group, La Resistance.
Well, I can be political too.
They try to infiltrate the USO show, and that's when they meet Zimol, who is always one of my favorite characters. For some reason, when this came out, like me and my friends would just quote the mole all the time.
We also skipped over Cartman's mom being a German Scheisse video.
Oh, okay, yeah, that did happen. Yeah,
Und Scheiße.
You tell me if you're in a German Scheiße.
Good night.
You tell me if you're in a German Scheiße video, right?
And can we talk about?
He's really just an insecure little child.
Really
I want to talk about for a second Cartman's voice in this because the show has changed so much.
This is the old voice.
If this is the old Cartman voice, if you watch the show now, Cartman sounds nothing like this at all. This was his more like, oh, I'm a husky kind of kid like voice, like. Yeah. But now it's like completely different.
Originally, it was.
I'm just an asshole.
and now there's a little bit more refinement to it because he's in like 5th or 6th grade now in the show. You know,
well, now I think his voice just evolved. Like if you watch like old episodes of like The Simpsons or things like that, like you'll see they sound differently and stuff like that.
Oh, they definitely do.
So
especially if you go back and watch like the Tracy Ullman show, it almost sounds like there's a delay when they were
Walter
talking.
Matthau.
Yeah.
Instead of Homer.
So yes, they do find out that Cartman's mom was in a German Scheiße video. They do get all the kids to rally behind La Resistance, and Gregory takes over La Resistance as soon as he gets in there. The love interest of Wendy, which pisses Stan off, and Stan's like, no, we're gonna rescue Terrence and Phillip. So they go meet the mole, and the mole is, I guess he's just a nihilist, right? Like,
pretty much.
Fuck your fucking God.
Yeah.
God, where was God when my mother stabbed me in the heart with a coat hanger while I was still in the womb?
He's a very dark, disturbed character.
You must shut off the alarm. They're guard dogs. I fucking hate guard dogs. And that's so they get to the fabulous USO show, and I can't keep saying it in the way I was.
Eat snacky smalls. Okay.
We also skipped over that all Canadians that are living on U.S. soil were being put into death camps. Did we say death camps? We mean happy camps, where they will get the greatest of dental of medical treatment. And they just show like a Canadian guy get a tooth ripped out and blood spraying everywhere. That was originally a much longer scene. They were going to go very deep into what it was like for the Canadians to be in there, and there was even a plot where the kids were going to break the Canadians out, and it was a lot of Auschwitz symbolism that they were going to do, and a lot of like
they hint at that
the Japanese internment camps that were going on here in America during World War II, because that happened. Like we did that. Yeah, we did that. But anyway, the MPAA was like, fuck no. Like
that one they
atrocities
won,
of war.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, but you're cool with us with Operation Get Behind the Darkies. And they're like, yeah. Because the MPA is racist. Like, I really feel like Matt Stone and Trey Parker were like, all right, we can't show Canadians being tortured during a time of war, but we can put in a joke where we have every, United States military man getting behind all the black soldiers.
And a Jar Jar Binks joke too.
Yes. Some peoples are gonna die, which was
when the movie came out. When
this was several weeks after Phantom Menace had come out, and they actually, like, Matt Stone and Trey Parker were like, they wanted to fit topical jokes in, so they left some things open for them to go back in just before release to add them in.
Just like 6 Days to Air, they were kind of doing the same type of thing. Yeah.
So they so the kids go on their trip. Cartman is supposed to shut off the alarm. He fails to shut off the alarm because his V chip starts to malfunction.
He sees the ghost of Kenny, right?
Because he sees the ghost of Kenny, right? Who is trying to warn them that if the blood of Terrence and Phillip is spilt, it will complete the seventh sign, the seventh seal, and hell will be unleashed upon the earth.
Bad things are going to happen.
Wait, if I can interject here. Yes. My favorite song has already happened by this time, and that is the Brian Boitano.
Oh, yeah.
What would Brian Boitano do?
Exactly.
That's where the kids decide that they are going to help Terrence and Phillip.
I love that song. I have no idea who Brian Boitano is.
Did you look him up?
He's a United States Olympic skater.
Yeah.
Who did a triple axel.
Yeah.
That song was actually... that song is a callback
while wearing a blindfold.
That song is a callback to not the very first Christmas video they did, but the second one.
Yeah, it was one of their videos before the show even started.
Before there was even a South Park show, they did a South Park video, and Brian Boitano was featured in that. So it's kind of like a callback to that. Yeah. The song wasn't in there.
I didn't look this up at all, but has he ever mentioned?
He loves it.
Yeah, he actually likes it. I think. Okay. Yeah. So that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
I mean, it's
Well, they don't make fun of him per se in terms of like.
Brian Boitano went to the air 3010.
Actually, it's saying he's pretty much like an amazing guy.
Yeah. They probably build him up to something much more than he really ever was, because I'd never heard of him before this, of course.
Right. He beat up Kubla Khan, but Brian Boitano doesn't take shit from anybody.
We did forget that.
It's funny because you guys were singing and not me, but you expect them to say anyone, but it says anybody.
Yeah, it adds that little bit extra where it's like, that's right, these are kids singing, so
exactly,
it's just bad enough. So anyway, now they go to get Terrence and Philip out. Eric fails to shut off the alarm, so the mole gets killed by fucking guard dogs, and he dies and he spits blood. It's standing.
Very dramatic ending.
Very dramatic ending for him. Here I come, God. You
sings.
fucking rat. You rat bastard. You took me. Fuck you, God.
There's a little reprise of La Resistance.
Yes. And then, this is the Fabulous U.S. show. And of course, this is where we get the
Winona Ryder
and her ping pong ball
I don't know
trick.
where that came from.
So where that came from was Winona Ryder was really supposed to be firing ping pong balls out of her vagina, and they graphically showed it.
Wait, they were going to have her really do that?
Well, no, they were going to have the cartoon version of it really do it.
Right, okay.
And they graphically showed it, and the MPAA was like, no. Secretly, what they did was to get more stuff into the film. They actually put that in there because they knew the MPAA would be like, no to that.
Right.
But all right,
But
well,
maybe they'll accept something else
on like some of the other
smart.
stuff.
So maybe it wasn't something that was really going to ever actually happen.
There was a lot of things
but they
that
said, I'm going to do this.
Right.
Oh, but if I can't do this, then you have to fall back on this.
Right. So
it's all negotiating.
Yeah.
Because they had to submit this movie so many times to the MPAA, there was actually tons of scenes that they threw in there just because they knew the MPAA would flag it, but maybe let something else go.
Like something they actually wanted.
Now, is this before or after Winona was like
Winona Ryder? This is after. After shoplifting and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. 99. Yeah, this is after shoplifting and stuff. And then we get Big Gay Al's fucking song.
That's a great song too.
Because Stan and Kyle have to cause a distraction that will allow them all to sneak up and rescue Terrence and Philip. So they get Big Gay Al to sing. And
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Bombs are flying, people are dying, Texaco's spilling, cancer is killing, but I'm fine. How are you? I'm super. Thanks for asking. It's all about him wearing a very lovely hat. The song's all about him.
Oh, I thought you were going to say,
don't you think I look cute in this hat?
Don't you see his penis?
You see his dick.
Okay.
You see his dick at the end. Yeah. He drops his pants and shows his dick. And
man.
Big Gay Al's
got to see that on the big screen, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
he's got a little gay penis, but he's still Big Gay Al. Terrence and Philip eventually get out just as the Canadians are attacking and they start bombing everything. And Chef has a brilliant plan to thwart Operation Get Behind the Darkies because, like the dumb whiteys that the U.S. government was, they told them that they were going to be getting behind them. So at the count of 3, Chef and all the other black soldiers just ducked.
Get out of the way.
Just got out of the way. And everyone gets blown up. But it all comes to an end when everyone thinks that it's over, the battle. And Sheila Broflovsky is the one who confronts Terrence and Philip.
Shoots them, yeah.
Yeah. And shoots them in the head when the general refuses to, because I mean they're just dick and fart jokes, and they're kind of funny. So she
sheds the blood, the Canadian blood.
Yeah, she sheds the blood, bringing Satan and Saddam up along with Kenny.
Yeah.
And Saddam has his plans on destroying South Park and ruling the world, and it's at this point that Cartman's V-chip just goes
malfunction,
absolutely apeshit, and he realizes that the guns can't kill the demons, but his V-chip electrical charges can.
And he has his Pokemon moment.
No, he has a Dragon Ball Z moment.
Oh, Dragon Ball Z, I'm sorry.
Very
Dragon
topical.
Get your references.
That's what I'm sorry. Whoa, I don't want to, so.
Whoa.
So
don't come after me.
Cartman finds out that the more he curses, the more powerful it is. So his string of obscenities is absolutely great. And it ends
with Barbara Streisand.
Yeah, and it ends with, God damn it, motherfucking piece of shit, frozen bloody tampon popsicles, Barbara Streisand.
Barbara Streisand. Because Trey Parker and Matt Stone notoriously hate Barbara Streisand for some reason.
Yeah. In the first or second season, there's
Mecha Streisand.
Yeah.
But,
so he hits Saddam with the powerful bolt of lightning, and it throws Saddam back. And this is when Kenny convinces the Satan to take his life back. And doesn't Satan pick just like Darth Vader picks up the Emperor, throws him off the cliff, which
Very
impales
similar,
him. And you see all the blood and gore and stuff. And then Kenny's given one wish, and Kenny wishes that everything would go back to the way it was before the war started. And that means that Kenny will still be dead.
Kenny's still dead, yeah.
But everything else will be undone, and everyone will be alive. And this is where Kenny pulls off his hood and reveals himself to everybody. He has blonde hair.
Yeah,
and he's voiced
he does
by
have
Mike
blonde.
Judd. And
he kind of looks like just a regular kid.
Yeah. Goodbye, you guys.
Bye, guys. Yeah. It's a little anticlimactic, but
It
it's cool
is.
they did it.
One of the things they do before all this, too, was they do a refrain song, which kind of mixes everything together.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That has a name that I can't think of right now.
Yeah, but
they do it in a lot of musicals.
They do it in a lot of musicals, right? So that's really the end of the movie. They
now, has Kenny done that since you've watched a lot more? Has Kenny done that again ever since?
Nope.
That was only in this.
Technically, he's been something else. He's Mysterion. So he's not,
well, he does. Yeah, he does talk as a certain character, like a superhero alter
Mysterion.
ego he has, but not as a kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did stop dying though.
He no longer dies, right?
For a
while
bit,
he was dead. After
Well,
I think it was after this movie, he
there
was
was
dead.
one episode where he dies, and I think he stays dead for a while.
Yeah, he stays dead for
And
a
then,
while, and then they tried Tweak out as his replacement.
They had different.
And then they tried Timmy out as his replacement,
Right.
and then Butters became his replacement.
So the show went a lot of different places after the movie.
Because it's Butters, that's me.
But he does come back,
and they did bring Kenny back. Yeah.
Sometimes they would kill him randomly, but they kind of stopped.
And Kenny is the only one in South Park with a real superpower, right?
Oh well, he can't die.
He can't die. Mysterion's power
comes
is that he actually does die, but his mother gives birth to him again the next day after he's dead, and he
That's
ages
right,
rapidly and comes back as Kenny.
Okay.
So, and he keeps all the same memories that he had from before. So he's Kenny. And this movie just goddamn.
What a movie! It's a hell of a movie.
What a movie! Just literally made to be a middle
is-
finger to censorship. Just to
It's that, and it's extremely epic, and like the fact, even you just describing it, it's like wow. And then Saddam Hussein and Satan came, and it's the apocalypse.
Well, you weren't saying.
and
I don't think you said it, but Saddam Hussein. It's a picture of Saddam.
It's actually
not,
a picture.
He's
of him,
he's one of the
Which
only
is
ones in the
brilliant.
movie that's not a actual
Not an animated-
character or
well, it's
cartoon
animated, but
character
not-
or
yeah.
animated. That sort of picture. He's a picture with a talking face in effect.
It's like a flapping head of
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein. Yeah,
and he's
which
completely abusive
adds
to his
insult to
boyfriend.
injury.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's very He's not a good boyfriend at all. Saddam Hussein is
fucking
not a
with you.
good
It's not
boyfriend.
real.
But the movie is, it's just epic, and it says a lot, and I think it's very funny, and I mean, it's a musical and has good songs. It hits all the notes for me. I mean, I think it's a great movie.
Yeah, I watched it twice this week, so I
There
mean,
you go.
I can't, and I've had all the songs stuck in my head all week, and
I bought the Blu-ray for it like pretty recently, actually, because I just I want to watch it again.
so I still only have the special edition DVD, which was a big problem for South Park fans at the time when that came out. This is one of the earlier movies actually ever released on DVD,
Right.
and it had 0 special features.
Yeah.
It's the first 2 trailers and a teaser trailer, and that's it.
Yeah, they didn't have any.
Those are the special features. No commentary, no anything. It's just absolutely bare bones. So I had to do all my own research. I couldn't just watch
But they
the commentary.
did do a commentary on YouTube. You can find it. Like they did it after the fact.
Okay,
You can
cool.
sync it up to the movie, I think.
I would love to do that
Yeah.
because there's a ton of stories that I believe had to come out of
Yeah.
this. I think it taught Matt and Trey a lot about what they can get away with and just how to fuck with censorship enough to get what you want.
The process of making this movie must have been crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if any behind the scenes footage exists for this movie like there is for the show, but I mean, I would love to see that if they ever release a special.
Well, what sort
special
of budget did they have to work with? Was it a large budget? Did they?
I'm sure it was more than they needed because the animation was done so cheaply.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the show was such a hit, they probably gave them a lot of money to work with. I'm not sure.
It gives them leverage.
They reported budget was $21 million.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things like Matt Stone and Trey Parker discussed was that they had so much money, they didn't really know what to do with it. So they kind of threw in these bullshit CGI scenes of Kenny going to hell, which is
Right.
full CGI.
Yeah.
The hellscape is full CGI. But they also really took the time to polish their own animation and really make the colors, vibrant and alive.
I mean, that's why I got it on Blu-ray. I was like, I think this movie, even though it's cheap looking and that's kind of what they're going for, it still looks
What's one of the
great.
funny things is the majority of the difficulty with the animation of the TV show is getting the the animation to look like the texture of cardboard.
Of cardboard, yeah. The first episode was actually
paper.
done with cardboard.
Yes.
But now they try to emulate that look. Not so much in the newer ones, but yeah, for a while they were.
Yeah, but they just don't want to lose their roots.
Yeah, they don't want it to look good. Let's say that. So and that's something else I respect them for. It's like, we're going to stick to this crappy kind of animation.
That's what makes them so different too, though.
Exactly. It's like everyone else is trying to be the most advanced, special
you got
effects
Pixar
ever,
that's almost looking real, and then
but this was just happy to be crude looking. I mean, it was just
crude and rude.
Crude and rude. That's kind of, yeah.
I told you my mom wouldn't listen. Well, then we're just gonna have to save Terrence and Philip ourselves. What? Think about it, you guys. What would Brian Boitano do? He'd figure out a way to rescue Terrence and Philip before they're executed.
We can't do anything. Our mom's organization is too strong.
Well, then we'll round up all the grounded kids in town and start our own organization. An organization to help save Terrence and Philip. Hey, yeah, our own secret club.
I guess that could work.
We have to try. What would Brian Boitano do if he was here right now? He'd make a plan and he'd follow through. That's what Brian Boitano do.
When Brian Boitano was in the Olympics skating for the gold, he did 2 sow cows and a triple Lutz while wearing a blindfold.
When Brian Boitano was in the Alps fighting grizzly bears, he used his magical fire breath and saved the maidens fair.
So the record that it held was it was given to them in 2001 by the Guinness Book of World Records for using 399 swear words, because the MPAA will give a film an NC-17 rating if it has 400 swear words.
So arbitrary.
So
they made sure
they got their 399. They were going to get every bit that they could get out of it. There was a proposed sequel to this. It came out in 2007, I believe. It was season 11, episodes 10, 11, and 12. It was Imagination Land, and it would have been a pretty poor sequel for the theater, I think. I
don't think it would have made sense as a sequel, just as like another South Park movie.
Just another South Park movie. But I mean, the whole idea was that Imagination Land is a place that exists. Imagination is the fifth dimension, and the whole plot is Eric tells Kyle that if the leprechaun doesn't exist, Eric will give Kyle $10. If the leprechaun does exist, Kyle will suck Eric's balls. And leprechaun does exist because he escaped from Imagination Land because he learned of a terrorist plot to blow up Imagination Land. So the kids get recruited by the U.S. government to help the U.S. government get to Imagination Land so they can stop the terrorists from developing weapons of mass destruction there.
Yeah, and pretty much every character ever that's ever been created is in this thing.
You got Ninja Turtles in there. You have Transformers.
Jason Voorhees is in there.
Jason Voorhees in there. Freddy Krueger's in there. Yeah. You get what's his name? Snarf from Thundercats is in there. There is it's a feast for the eyes,
like a Ready Player One thing going on.
Yeah, it's like any imagined character can be
for your references there. And it like the in the first episode, the way that it ends is a parody of D-Day in Saving Private Ryan. The terrorist suicide bombs right in the middle of all imaginated characters, and Stan is completely shell shocked, and he's kind of has the ringing in his ear. Yeah. He's looking around, and Ronald McDonald is walking around without his arm, and he crouches down and picks up his arm. And there's a guy, I forget what the character is. He's laying on his back, and he's like holding his guts in. He's like, "Mama, mama, mama," and it's like it is shot for shot Saving Private Ryan.
It's very good. Normandy. It's just not. Yeah, I mean, I can't really picture it coming out in theaters.
Yeah, one of the reasons that it couldn't come out in theaters was because of the amount that was going on in it and all the rights that they would have to reserve just to get this made.
Sounds like a nightmare.
And also, they were not willing to play the game again with the MPAA, where Matt Stone and Trey Parker were probably like 7 years later. They're like,
a little over.
Yeah, I could fuck with them again. But at this point, the Comedy Central, I believe it's Comcast owned it by this point. Warner Brothers still had a stake in Comedy Central. They were like, no, we just don't like that idea. So they were like, fuck you then.
We'll make it as
it's going to be the 3 episodes. Guess what? Season instead of 10 episodes in season 11, it's 13. And Comedy Central went, okay.
The thing is, they could make another movie now, and it would be, and I think they could do whatever they wanted with it, because the show is what it is now, where it's just kind of based off of.
But do you think it would do the same thing?
Yes, I think if they made it now, it would tack PC principles.
Yeah, I think it'd be more. Yeah, it would just be more modern things that they're looking at. But yeah, I think they would use the film like they did with the first film, where it's almost used as like a weapon kind of.
Yeah.
I think it would be the same idea, but they could do it. I mean, there's nothing,
I was almost thinking because, by this stage, are people kind of numb to what they do?
It's a different time for sure.
Because when this movie came out, the first thing, Uncle Fucker, you know, the first thing you're thinking of is, what the hell?
But if you saw that in a movie now, you'd be like,
okay, South Park's done it,
right?
So
but I think that's
could South Park a new movie come out that would beat that? Because
but I think because of them, I think now things are more mainstream because of that. So maybe
we got Sausage Party, which is my choice.
Right?
That movie ends in a 20-minute food orgy at the end of it, which is pretty full on.
Well, here's a question for you, because I haven't seen that movie, but
don't.
Do you think you voted for it?
I know,
but do you think that movie would even exist without South Park?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
right, but that's
not.
So
no.
Here's what's funny. I don't think the Simpsons movie would have gotten made if South Park wasn't successful.
Probably not.
No, I tend to agree. Yeah.
I mean, South Park really
you can't use it. It wasn't so much as a sort of a competition, but I think because that movie came out, The Simpsons had to come. I mean, there was talk. I remember when I was young, there was always talk about how long it takes to make a Simpsons episode, and that there was always talk about a Simpsons
very different
movie.
than the South Park episode.
Well, it's what's difficult is you have to take the creators of the show away from the show to create the movie, and then you have to take your head animators away from the show. So you have to actually sacrifice the quality of the show to make a good movie, which is something that Matt Stone and Trey Parker were not interested in doing.
Well, they have said, Matt Stone and Trey Parker have said that the second season, I actually think the second season is pretty funny, but they
attribute its
actually
weakness to
second
this
season, and they say it's because they were focused on working on the movie while they were writing this, the episodes for that. So,
which is why they eventually moved to shorter seasons.
Yeah, and why they eventually started to basically be very involved with each episode. I mean, even if they don't write it, they are very over the shoulder of the person that is.
They certainly now are to the point where if they don't have complete creative control over South Park and whatever is being produced by it, they don't want to be.
They don't want to do the show anymore. Yeah,
right.
So that is,
and it'll die. If they
which is why they were so involved in the video games.
It'll die.
They actually had to have someone from Ubisoft in the South Park Studios offices full time while they were creating those video games, just so whatever they're doing there is being relayed to somebody who can relay it back to Ubisoft in the way that they want. They had a full creative control over those games, which is, I think, why they turned out so well, and they're such love letters to the show.
Right, they wouldn't have made those games because they made some games back in the 90s which were not good.
Exactly, and they hate those.
So
and
they were
didn't
like,
want
you know
those
what?
Again.
We're never going to make another game again. But then eventually the technology caught up, and now the game looks exactly like the TV
like
show.
The show so, looks just like it.
It's kind of amazing, and they wrote it, so it's like a really long episode, pretty much.
Yeah,
so it's really cool.
800 pages was the original script for The Stick of Truth.
Exactly, yeah. 800 so you basically play an episode of South Park, so it's really, really cool.
Just an 800-minute episode of South Park.
A very long episode.
Very long.
Yes.
A 2-month-long episode of South Park.
But it's cool. They did TV, movies, Broadway, video games. It just shows that they're very versatile and they're not one-trick ponies. Even though they have South Park and it's been around for years, they've done other things.
And they've iterated it when they've needed to.
Yeah, they've shown they can do other
and
things.
they've had a spadoinkle day the entire time
and please
doing
go
it.
see Cannibal the Musical.
Go see Cannibal the Musical.
If I can impart anything else to you.
Fudge Packer.
Oh, you've seen it. Good.
I have seen it.
So we forgot to mention the lesson. The lesson in the end is Kyle convinces his mom to let go of her hate and the war because he says, you blame all these other people for the things I do, but I do them. It's me. Blame me.
Right.
And it finally sinks in. She's like, I have to parent my child for him to be the child I want him to be. I have to parent him.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson of the movie. Don't let TV raise you like I was raised by TV.
But
don't let your kids be me.
I definitely I agree with that message because I think to say, I don't know, this is getting into a whole thing here.
No, well, I mean, I actually I talk about this a lot on the show sometimes where I watch what Logan's watching. When she has something on, I watch it. So when she was getting into
I'm the same way.
When she was getting into YouTube videos, when there was YouTube videos with kind of these messages where little girls were being cunts to their moms, I was like, you're not going to watch this anymore. And she's like, why? I was like, because it teaches you to be rude and not respect your parents. And, at the very least.
And it's the new version of comedy. Now,
right. Yeah.
Right?
Where it's rude is not funny.
It's pranking somebody in.
Right. I mean, while South Park is rude, it's not rude to its audience or anything like that. Those shows, and I wouldn't let a 4-year-old watch South Park and stuff, but I'd probably let a 12-year-old watch it.
Yeah.
But
There's a difference.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, man, we got to get into what we're going to do for the next movie cocktail. This is one of, I believe this one came from Duty and from Chicken Nut Nerd. This is his category that he gave to us on Patreon. And I had to change it. So originally it was horror movie sequels past 5. So that means we would have only been able to do like a handful of horror franchises and stuff like that. I really didn't want us to have like a battle of who had the worst sequel, which really is what it was turning out to be. Because if we would have done Halloween 5, Curse of Michael Myers,
there's not many options.
Right, Friday the 13th, right. But so it was anything after 5 you can do, and so technically you could do Halloween 2018 if you wanted to.
Yeah,
but I changed it. I wanted to do
that's probably a good call.
Horror movie sequels after 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be number 3 or beyond that.
3 is when it usually starts getting bad anyway,
right.
So.
And I'll be honest, only one of us, you, Rob and Mark both picked ones that are after number 3. Me and Jay went with the 3rd in the,
I think I went with 3.
In it. No, you went with 4.
4, okay.
You went with 4.
That's right.
You don't have to lock it in. You could change it now. You're last to go, aren't you?
I'm last.
Yeah, Jay's last. All right. So anyway, Mark, you are first up this round. What is the horror movie sequel past 3 that you would like to nominate for movie cocktail?
Jaws: The Revenge. Jaws 4.
Jaws 4.
Yeah. It has Michael Caine in it.
Because it has Michael Caine.
It has Michael Caine.
Who is?
It has.
We will. If
Michael Caine.
If
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
If it wins, we'll have to discuss how the fact that he says that he runs laundry from island to island, but clearly that means he's a smuggler.
Well, for anyone wondering if they should vote for this movie, let me tell you a little bit about the plot of this movie, just really quick.
I'm sorry. Are we going to lobby for votes?
Hold on 1 second. I just want to explain something. The shark stalks the wife of Martin Brody.
Smile, you
from
son
the
of a
first
bitch.
movie. He stalks her. He follows her. He wants revenge. That's all I'm going to say.
There was a deleted plot that made it into the novelization of it that didn't make it into the plot of the movie. That a voodoo guy put a curse. Put a curse on the Brody family. Back when Martin was a New York City cop, he broke up a drug ring, and the guy was from Haiti or Dominican Republic or Jamaica, and he put a hex on the family.
Should we even pick here or what?
No.
I mean, that's going to win.
Decided, right?
Yeah, that's gonna win. But that didn't make it into the plot, so the plot just becomes super hokey.
But the shark does stalk her.
But the shark does stalk her, right? It does.
And you guys are recording a whole episode right now.
There's also 3.
And Michael Caine's in it.
There's also 3 endings to that, man.
And Michael Caine flies a plane. All right.
And makes it with Ellen.
Dave, your pick.
Yeah, so my pick. I was really torn. I wanted to go with the Dream Warriors, which is the 3rd in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. However, as much as I love Dream Warriors for what it is, I actually like it more than any other Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I had to go with something that I know really well, something that speaks to me, and something that was made by a filmmaker that I really, really respect. I would love to talk about.
Zombies coming.
Yeah. It's George A. Romero's Day of the Dead. I have to specify that it's George A. Romero's Day of the Dead because there's so many remakes of it. But it is kind of the culmination of his Dead trilogy. It really takes it to the point that he wanted to get it to, where he actually departs it from his own genre that he created and does it in a way that is masterfully beautiful, I guess you would say. And the effects in it are top notch, just beautiful special effects. And when I say beautiful, that means there's blood and there's gore, and it just looks so good. And it's curated by Tom Savini and, I can't remember his name, but he does The Walking Dead now. He's kind of like a big deal.
Tom Savini.
But Tom Savini.
All right. He's pretty great.
All right. Well, I'm going to be boring because I don't know much about it. I'm going Saw 4. I mean, I looked it up online.
I've only seen the first.
I looked it up online to get the best ratings out of all Saw movies.
I looked up horror franchises.
You haven't even seen it?
I don't think I've even seen it.
What are you, Jay?
Yeah, I'm picking it. Just I did enjoy. I'm not going to say this. Sorry, I will say this. I enjoyed the first couple of Saw movies.
So you like torture porn?
No, it's not torture porn. I loved. I mean, as much as it's horror, but I love the whole aspect of like an escape room type thing of what Saw is. I love puzzles and stuff like that. And this is obviously completely different because it's horror, but the puzzle of how they have to get out of there. I enjoy that, and I thought that was a good premise of these movies.
Do you want to play a game?
But this is really not my
So
category.
why did you pick Saw 4 over like anything else?
Why not Saw
Because
3?
I just looked it up.
Oh, okay.
I just looked it up and
Did
I
that
saw,
get the worst
saw
ratings?
4, and I thought, no, it's got
Whichever
the
one
Roman,
has the worst ratings.
It's got the Roman numerals going on, and I was like, okay, I like the number 4.
The name I was trying to think of was Greg Nicotero. It was,
Oh, okay.
It was one of his first movies on. So anyway, Greg
Absolutely
Nicotero.
no, I have no chance here against
No,
the
fuck
podcast we've already recorded with.
Well, I think I just heard that
George.
Samuel L. Jackson is going to be starring in the new Saw movie.
Yes,
That
he
is
did.
it. Yeah,
With Chris Rock.
I did see
So
that. I actually might check that one out.
they're going a whole different angle now with this franchise.
Bad motherfucker. All right. Jay, what are you nominating?
Yeah, this is Rob. I concur. This is definitely another one of my categories that does not go under my wheelhouse, and I was kind of torn between Blade Trinity, and I'm going to go with Alien 3.
Yeah.
David Fincher's Alien
Good
3.
pick. Good pick.
Yeah, that's an extremely
interesting franchise, interesting film. There's a lot to it.
A very divisive film, I would say.
Yes. So it'd be an interesting conversation.
I'd be interested to rewatch it, actually.
Almost killed the franchise, but also made just enough money for Fox to be like, yeah,
we'll make another one.
Let's make another one.
And let's be honest, anything's better than Covenant.
Anything's better than Covenant. It's true.
So
it's true. Yeah, if we wanted to say bad horror movie sequels,
wow.
I've never seen Resurrection. I want to make that confession.
Written by Joss Whedon, and he absolutely hates it because they cut his script up to ribbons. To be fair, it seemed like he was trying to make a comedy out of the Alien films, though. So those are our picks. You can vote for those on Twitter. We will put the poll up shortly after this episode is up. You can follow us on Twitter at SuperMoviePod. You can follow me and Jay on Instagram, where you'll be able to see the movie cocktail. Jay is at Super Movie Bros Beer, and I am at Movie Cocktail on Instagram. Mark, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Sure, you can find me at Cult Movie Cult on Podbean, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I believe that's it.
When is our Accountable to Musical episode going to come out?
Oh my god, we need to do that.
We need to do that.
We definitely need to do
that. We should do musicals. Just
that. You know what? That's actually a category I would love to do.
Yeah.
Soon. Yeah. So hopefully.
Yeah, I would love to join you for at least one musical.
Definitely. I need your beautiful voice.
Yeah, my beautiful voice. Yeah. Rob, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you?
Apparently nowhere.
Nowhere.
Up the street.
I'm on the corner every now and then. Yeah. No, I'm around.
Turning tricks. If you come by, you wave a 20, and I come to the door.
I've been talking with Dave lately. I've got some ideas.
You do, yeah.
Up my sleeve. I might be coming back into podcasting on my own one day soon, hopefully. But for right now, nothing up there. Nothing going.
We
on.
went to the Great Adventure.
I did. I love that.
So you can find him on
Find Me a Great Adventure. There we go.
Waiting in line.
Now got a place.
Got to see some bands. Super Movie Brothers is part of the Podfix Network, so you can head over to podfixnetwork.com and check out all the shows that are part of the great Podfix Network over there. You can also click on the menu tab and check out all of the movie cocktail recipes that we have available up there. Super Movie Brothers is also sponsored by Blowfish. Blowfish is the only FDA-approved hangover cure. What it is it's 2 tablets that you drop in 8 to 12 ounces of water. Let that dissolve. Drink it down. Your hangover starts to feel better immediately. So if you enjoyed Terrence and Phillips' fart juice just a little bit too much, and you have a hangover the next day, you're going to want yourself some Blowfish in the medicine cabinet. So order yours now by going to 4hangovers.com. Use the promo code SMBFish. Get your 15% off of the Miracle Hangover Cure. Super Movie Brothers also would like to peddle ourselves. We will sell ourselves. We are cheap whores like that.
Whore.
Yes.
We really need your reviews. We need you to go over to iTunes. We need you to leave us a 5-star review. It's the only way the show can grow. It's the only way that we succeed. It's the only way that we measure success in this stupid business of podcasting. So I need you guys to go to iTunes if that's where you listen to us. Leave us a 5-star review. Write us a little message. You can just say, hey guys, how are the droopy balls going sitting in that hot studio that you
They're
sit
drooped.
I'm sitting on mine right now. It reminds me of that.
Sitting on mine.
It reminds me of that episode of South Park where everyone gets enlarged balls and they all bounce down the street on it. just to bring it
chocolate
home.
and salty right now.
Oh,
Suck on my salty balls. Put them in your mouth and suck them. So please go over to iTunes, leave us that 5-star review. It just means so much, and I'll read them on air, and you'll feel special for like 5 minutes and I'll feel special forever. So please go on to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. We also have additional content up on Patreon. Additional movie cocktails are coming to Patreon, where we are going to do 30-minute versions of movie cocktails where we discuss a movie, sometimes movies we haven't seen before, but we're still going to make an original cocktail for them. And the only way to get those recipes and the only way to hear those movie cocktail episodes will be over on our Patreon. So go to patreon.com/Super Movie Bros Podcast. And for just $1 a month, you can get yourself some of those movie cocktail episodes, as well as a slew of other episodes that me and Jay have put up, special top 5s, bad date stories, all matter of stuff that you can listen to over there.
Yeah, we have a couple of them right up on Patreon now.
Just put them up fresh. Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, I got a couple messages about those and just said, Dave, what the fuck is wrong with you? They were from my dad. So I want to thank you guys for listening. Have a great night. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.